Hey guys, this time of year I'm usually trying to save my pennies and nickels and dimes to save up for Heroes Con. I don't usually go out looking for deals and everything, but well, sometimes you run up on deals that you just can't pass up. And really, this wasn't intentional. I went in to a local comic book store. I was actually taking my son because they were having a sale on some things that he wanted to look at. So to kind of, you know, waste some time, I went over and started looking through some of their cheap bins. I really didn't expect to find anything, but it's when you don't expect to find anything that you really find stuff. Anyway, everything that you are going to see, I got for $1 a piece. First thing I found was this book from the mid 70s. It's Captain America. And basically, what this is a reprint of some 40s and 1940s and 1960s stories. This was put out by Ideals Books. I remember seeing these at like Scholastic book fairs when I was in elementary school, but I didn't pick them up then. But anyway, got it for $1. Not only that, I got Spider-Man and Fantastic Four. These things are in really, really good shape. And why the dealer had them in his dollar box, I have no idea. Because I've seen these things sell for 20, 30, 40, $50 a piece, just depending on, where you are. And I was extremely shocked to find these. Picked up a Space Family Robinson, number 27. Like this just because of the cover. Just thought it looked really cool, painted cover. I think it's a George Wilson painted cover. Anyway, so I picked it up. Got this Dale 4-color, number 347. This is from the early 50s. It's got a couple of spine ticks, but to be as old as it is and for $1, hey. I also picked up another Dale 4-color that's got the Hardy Boys in it. This is, as best I can determine, the first appearance of the Hardy Boys in a comic book. Now, there may have been some comic books back in the 1930s, early 40s that had them in it. But if they did, it was as a backup story and it wasn't as the main feature. So anyway, picked it up. Another Dale 4-color, Spin and Marty. I just picked this one up because I was interested to see exactly what it said, what they're going to say about Mother Goose. If you know anything about Mother Goose, you know that a lot of the Mother Goose nursery rhymes are based on some rather dark circumstances in the different countries where these things were written. And the stories are not really for kids, but anyway, so I just picked this up just to see what they were going to say. Got another Dale 4-color, Clint and Mac. Not really familiar with this series from Walt Disney, but thought I'd pick it up. Out of the way. Found a copy of Time Tunnel, number 1. For those of you who are of a rather seasoned age, you remember this was a TV show back in the mid-late 60s. Just a cool sci-fi show that was on TV, so picked it up. Picked this one up. This is The Outer Limits, number 13. This was a show that kind of ran opposition to the Twilight Zone. And, had weird stories in it, so thought I'd pick it up. Got this Dale Giant, Tom and Jerry, Summer Fun, number 1. This one's from 1967. I thought it was a lot older than that, but what I can find online, it's 1967. Pick this one up, Tom and Jerry Toy Fair, #1. This is from the late 50s, like 1957, 1958. Picked up these Walt Disney comics. This is Walt Disney Comics #170. Slide that over a little bit. #214. If any of you watched my last video, I picked up some old Walt Disney comics then from the 50s and 60s. And I mentioned about Carl Barks art. Well, since then, those that were in that last haul, I've been able to confirm that all of them except for one had Carl Barks art in it. And before I started recording this video, I researched the Walt Disney comics I found yesterday, and all of these have Carl Barks art in them. There's another one coming up that I didn't include with this. It also has the Carl Barks art. But anyway, I was very happy with that. Picked up some Magnus Robot Fighter. This is #13. #14. And #35. I like these old Gold Key Magnus Robot Fighters. Just really cool stories. Good sci-fi 1960s comic. Couldn't pass that up. Now, Dr. Solar, #5. And #21. Again, just really cool Gold Key comics. I've always liked this character. I know Dark Horse picked him up and reprinted a lot of these early adventures and did some expanding on the Dr. Solar property. But anyway, just really cool 1960s stuff. Picked up this copy of Air War Stories #8 from Dale. Fighting Air Force #57. War Heroes #25 from Charlton. Got Nuclear #4. This one is actually this comic is not really all that great. I picked it up because there are some comics that honestly are so bad that it's like a car wreck. You just can't resist picking them up, especially you can't resist picking up, a comic like this that it's just so awful that you have to look. So anyway, picked it up. Got Mandrake, Magician #5 from King Comics. Got Flash Gordon #5 from King. This has got Al Williamson art on the cover and on the interior. Just really good art. And I like Al Williamson's stuff. Got this copy of Combat #23 from Dale. I like the old Dale War comics, Gold Key War comics. So, I like the Marvel and DC War comics also, but these are just kind of a departure from that big two. But there's some really good stuff in these comics if you can find them on the cheap. If you find them in a cheap box, pick up an issue or two, 50 cents or $1 a piece, and just read them. I don't think you'll be disappointed. This is Little Iodine #21. This one was 1953. I didn't think it was quite that old, but when I looked it up, sure enough, this was from 1953. Now, mind you, all this stuff is in the dollar box. I know some of you may be thinking, well, that's probably about all it's worth, but, you know, Golden Age comics or Atomic Age comics, however you want to look at it, for $1, This is the other Disney comic with the Carl Barks art. This is Uncle Scrooge, number 16 from 1955. Picked it up for 2 reasons. Number one, because it's an old Walt Disney comic that I suspected had Barks art in it. And I know some of you who are, you know, more technologically inclined could have just looked it up on your phone and verified it in the store, but I didn't do that. But you know, nonetheless, it did end up having Carl Barks art in it, and it's an old Uncle Scrooge. So picked up The Fly, number 30 from Archie Comics. In recent years, these old Archie superheroes have been revived several times since the 1960s. These characters didn't stand a chance against Marvel and DC back then, especially Marvel. As you know, Marvel was pretty much taking over the comic book world back then with Spider-Man and Fantastic Four and the Avengers and all the other great comics that they put out during that time that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby put out. So anyway, these kind of got lost in the shuffle. Some of the stories are pretty good. Some of them are, well, you know. But nonetheless, if you can find these cheap and you're looking for Silver Age superhero stories, pick up 1 or 2. I mean, for, out of a cheap box, not going to cost you very much, and they're pretty cool most of the time. This is Wild Bill Elliott, number 9, from the early 50s from Dale. Just another cowboy comic, saw it in there, thought I'd pick it up. I try to pick these up when I can. For some reason, don't find them very often. Well, not in this kind of shape. This one's actually in fairly good shape. This is Ghost Manor number 28 from Charlton from the mid-70s. A lot of these, horror comics from Charlton have Steve Ditko art in them. And, I like Ditko's art. And, when I can pick them up for cheap, I always pick them up. These last two, and this is, debatable. Some of you may disagree with me, but these last two that I found, in my opinion, were the finds of the day. Yes, even over the Carl Barks Walt Disney comics. I found Dynamo, number 1 from Tower Comics. I've got a copy of this, but I paid, if I remember correctly, it's been a couple of years, about $6 for a copy that looked not much better than this one. Matter of fact, in some respects, this one's actually in better shape than the one that I got. The one that I got, I think, has got a piece missing somewhere down here. Anyway, I mean, a Tower comic, especially a number 1 from the 1960s for $1, I mean, come on. And this one, I was extremely happy to find this. This is No Man, number 2 from Tower Comics. Wallywood art. This one's in great shape. I mean, it's got a few little things, I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's got a little bend down in the corner right here. Little scuffing along the top and a couple of spine ticks, but from the dollar box, this thing looks great. I was extremely happy when I found this stuff, all of it, as a matter of fact. It's just this one happened to be on my list, and this was one I was planning on looking for at Heroes Con, and really expected to pay a lot more than $1 to get it. So now I've got both issues of No Man. So my son came over and was looking at me, and he said, I don't know what was wrong with you. He said, you just looked He said, you look like you were in some kind of zone, and I was, because the more I looked, the more stuff I found. To be honest, I passed up probably 20 or 30 issues of Walt Disney comics that had the Barks art in them. But I just, when there's so much in there, and you're having to, you're kind of trying to be on a budget and not trying to spend everything you've got. You have to kind of leave some things behind sometimes, as much as it might disappoint you. I picked up some I got a graphic novel haul that I haven't filmed yet, and I'm not sure if I will, but anyway, it's almost as good as this stuff. I actually went in to return something from my wife at Ollie's, and while I was in there, I decided to see if they had any, graphic novels or whatever, and buddy, let me tell you, they had a heck of a lot more than I would have thought I would have found, but nonetheless, I might film that in the next day or two. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, support your local comic book store. I try to say that on every video. Support your local comic book store, because when these places go away, it's going to make it very, very difficult to find these books that we love on the cheap. Because when you buy from online companies that I shall not mention, mail order companies that I won't mention any names, you're not going to find this book you see right here for $1. You'll be lucky to find it for $10, if that. So support your local comic shop, and next video is going to be most likely Heroes Con in about a month. So see you next time. Thanks for watching.